Hi, so, all about this album.
Every great band eventually makes their mature album. It's the album where they fully realize their sound, they've cut the fat, they have a clear direction, they're focused, and their confidence comes through in their songwriting and their performances, and they end up making an album that is, as we say in my country, unfuckwithable. And that's what Obnoxious is.
Close your mind to controversy. Don't express opinion, just agreement. Good healthy views and morals.
So, the album. Yeah, started recording on January the 2nd, 1990. That's a stupid day to start recording. Hungover, obviously. I remember we had a little flat that came with the studio, and we were all living in there. And we were all coming and going as well. It wasn't a case of all five of us all there all the time. We sort of came and went, dropped in, came and did things. I remember Adam coming in, like just tracking like a bastard.
I came in and did my guitar parts quite quickly, the rhythm stuff, and the lead as well, I think. And maybe in a couple of days, I can't remember exactly, but it was quick for that kind of album. It was quite quick. In fact, I remember it was done that quick that we felt it was worthy of a celebration or something. We went off for a curry or something. I like the solos on that. There's a solo in Chords of Conformity. I can listen to that solo and I almost sound like I know what I'm doing, which is it's unusual for me, really. So, Obnoxious. Difficult album to make. Took a lot of rehearsal, took a lot of writing. A lot of writing, if I remember rightly.
Oh god, yeah, we wrote it in this tiny little sort of loft rehearsal room. I used to have to hide my PA because other bands were coming in and were using it. I did all sorts of stuff, hid it, took fuses out, you name it, they always found it. But yeah, that was a packed little room, and to be honest, Ramsey and Adam probably spent their entire lives in that small room, writing the album. I mean, they worked harder than anybody else on this album. They really phenomenal job. It was awesome. I remember recording the vocals with Stilly Harris. It was the first time I'd recorded. We kind of just did it on our own, and then had the band come in and listen as and when they were around. Stilly, I remember how he had a stick, and he was. If I did a particularly good take, he'd start banging things with this stick. So as soon as it stopped tracking, I know he was like, I think we got one there, because I was like, I was hitting it. Tour was amazing. DAM supporting on that tour. We played football every day. I mean, that would be myself, Kev, Mac, usually. And it was awesome.
Greetings, metalheads. Jason McLaughlin from DAM. It's 30 years since the release of Acid Rain's Obnoxious and Our Human Wreckage. The whole of the tour was very intense. There was no days off hardly whatsoever. Every night the houses were packed, the venues were filled to capacity, sold out shows throughout the tour. Blood, sweat, stage diving, the violence was thick. Sweat, steam coming off the walls. I remember the one in Newcastle Underline, very low ceiling. The heat was so intense you just couldn't wear a t-shirt, it was just sopping wet through. Played a lot of football through the day, and those Acid Rain boys are dirty tacklers and they know who I'm talking about.
Okay everybody, can't believe it's 30 years. Obnoxious test pressing, rare as anything. Don't think HE even has one today. He can buy it off me if he wants to.
So Obnoxious, 30 years old, wow. I can remember that being, as a 14-year-old kid, that was one of the albums that I'd stick it on, pick my guitar up and play along. Guitar, pretend I was in the band, just throw myself around the bedroom like absolutely nutty.
I remember it well, I was 15 years old and it took me about 4 or 5 hours of heavy shelf stacking before I could afford this. My wages, I could buy this album and 2 or 3 cans of Scrumpy at the end of the week, a young 15-year-old, and that was enough for me at the time.
Action. Now I remember coming home with my copy of Obnoxious, and as soon as I put it on, just that, as soon as it kicks in, just the riff was just fucking awesome. The vocals, just like everything was just a step up from like the Fear. It was an album I listened to. Fuck off, you cunt! Seriously, I listened to that album to death, and just the tunes on it, like a fucking Thoughtful Sleep. I mean, everybody mentions Thoughtful Sleep at one point or another, because it's just, that song's just fucking immense.
I remember walking into this little shitty little record shop in Cardiff, and I think Castle Arcade, I think it was. Anyway, yeah, I remember picking up Obnoxious and looking at the cover and thinking, that's shit.
Pink. What's with the pink?
So I remember seeing an advert for it in the Kerrang magazine, the A4, pink advert, and I thought, what have they done?
We had a perfectly decent album cover design that Stilly Paps did, and I think it ended up on a t-shirt, if I remember right, a white t-shirt.
I couldn't give a fuck. I don't give a fuck about the cover. So many people have a problem with the cover. I don't give a shit, and everybody seems to miss the point.
It's obnoxious, that's it. You know, Music for Nations refused to use the artwork we provided, came up with this idea, which they loved. So go figure. And all these years later, you know, coming out on pink vinyl, which I kind of love. I think it still holds up. I think the production holds up. The artwork is obnoxious. Can we move on? It's that fucking simple.
2 tracks in, I thought, who gives a fuck about the pink cover of this fucking magnificent piece of work.
So many songs that have, over the years, they're just still great, it's brilliant.
Taking this home and getting them playing it for the first time was fantastic, and it still is now.
Obnoxious is an album that stands up with all of the great classic metal albums of that time. And by the way, I love the fucking cover, so fuck off.
Some people seem to think that, you know, 1990 was the year of the Black Album. Remember, it's also the year of the Pink Album. And in 2009, in Terrorizer, was voted the worst heavy metal album artwork of all time. Boom! Number 1. At last, we have one.
But there you are. Yeah, I never bothered. That's my story, and I'm sticking to it.
Anyway, about now, time for Snot Poodle. Ever so nice, fresh from bottom. Cheers, everybody.